Hello, and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. We're here to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name is John Ainsworth, and today's guest is Gert Mellak. Gert has been in digital marketing and lead generation for many years. With his brand, SEO Leverage, and his book, The Erica Framework, Gert helps numerous online coaches and course creators convert SEO into one of their main resources for ongoing lead generation. And today, we're going to talk about SEO, how that fits into your overall course sales strategy, what you need to do to take advantage of SEO traffic, the ideal lead magnet and what that looks like, and how to drive more SEO traffic to your site. And before we start learning from Gert, I want to mention our sponsor. And today's sponsor is my company, Data Driven Marketing. And what we do is we help online course creators to double through to quintuple their revenue through strategic funnel optimization. And we help you convert more visitors to leads, more leads into sales, and increase your revenue per sale. If you want to find out how much more revenue you could be making from your online course, then go to datadrivenmarketing.co/calculator, and we will figure it out for you and drop you an email with the details. Gert, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So I covered it very briefly in the intro, but talk everybody through what kind of people do you work with at your SEO company?
Yeah, at SEO Leverage, we work mostly with coaches, course creators. We do have businesses from usually six-figure businesses up to 8 figures here with SEO, with ongoing SEO consulting. Very often it's going to be focused on lead generation. We also work with quite a few Shopify sites in the e-commerce space, but really probably 2/3 is lead generation driven, where people want to get someone on their mailing list and then build up the trust that's necessary to actually sell a product or service to them.
Nice. All right, cool. So what's the role of SEO for online course creators? How does that fit in?
I think it fits in very nicely as an additional traffic pillar. So you really don't want to be single source dependent. We see a lot of online courses doing really, really well with Facebook ads, with Google ads, with YouTube ads, more and more. Everybody's talking about YouTube ads right now as well. And I think this is amazing. We think SEO should be one of those pillars that drive traffic in for a particular reason, or 2 reasons actually. The first reason is that we see things happen with paid channels. We see accounts getting shut down for no reason at all, and you're pretty much without running your promotions for a few weeks, possibly, unless you have the proper backup methodologies in place or backup tactics ready. We see that Facebook can go away for a day and nothing really bad happens, but some companies really came to us and said, look, we saw Facebook going away, we saw COVID hit and things changed rapidly. We saw Apple launch an iOS and bring up huge tracking issues, and suddenly what used to work didn't work anymore. And we found something out that was shocking, and which was that if someone searches actively on Google for what we are doing, they don't find us. And this is something that strikes a lot of online courses where they say, look, I've been around for maybe 5 years, 10 years. I'm one of the main courses here. Really, whenever someone searches ask someone in my industry, they're going to drop my name. But if they actually search for this guitar course or this online coaching course or life coaching or whatever they offer, nobody finds me, right? I'm nowhere in Google. And there are people who have come up 6 months ago and they rank above me. How is this possible, right? And it is possible because they haven't done the proper work that's involved in building up and maintaining a channel over time. And this is where we come in. The second reason why we believe SEO is really, really important for online courses is that there is a lot of trust that goes with finding your own course option online as a user. So if I'm a user and I do my research, I want to learn, I'm right now trying to learn surf skating, right? I saw this, I liked it, I got a surf skate, I have no idea what I'm doing. I want to find someone who can teach me, right? I'm really fond of having the prepared material. I don't want to search everything on YouTube and find my own way. So now I'm searching for a surf skate course, right? And I do my own research. I follow some people on social media. I research this on Google, etc. When I find something myself, which I'm convinced of, which seems to be a good fit, I have a very high likelihood of actually making a purchase very, very soon. Versus if I'm in Facebook and I get those courses coming in and they know I'm interested in surf skating, but I get random courses from all over the world. This is something I haven't found myself. And Google has actual user studies where they see there is a lot of trust being put on those top search results on Google, where Google users trust Google to find the best 5 or 10 options for them out of hundreds of thousands of options they could be seeing. So people trust that on page 1 is the right fit for them. So we see very, very high conversion rates, very high opt-in rates when people come from SEO. We are probably going to talk about lead magnets later, but very high opt-in rates because people did their own research. We didn't interrupt them. We didn't distract them from what they were actually trying to do. We found them in a moment where they set aside some time and said, now I'm going to find a course. Now I'm going to find a course that teaches me how to do X. Now I'm going to compare 3 different courses who teach this, and I'm probably going to go with the one I like best. And I'm not going to wait 6 months to do this. I'm probably acting very, very quickly because I'm searching for this right now. This is not someone thinking I might be interested in doing this in the next 6 months. We see a very close relation to an actual action that's being taken.
And I guess that's probably only for certain search terms, right? When you're talking about like high intent of doing something, like you're searching actively for, I want a course about how to learn to surf skate, but there'll be other people, right, who are just searching for videos about it who aren't ready to buy. Like,
absolutely. You essentially, over the course of an SEO strategy, you're going to tackle different levels of a sales funnel, right? There are going to be transactional terms, buy online courses on surf skating, right? And then there are going to be others that say, what is surf skating? But these might already bring the right people in, where your company, for example, with the funnels you build, can essentially retarget this traffic, can use this traffic and say, okay, they wanted to know what this is. They might be ready in, based on the data, 2 months, but let's see if we can get them some materials out or however the funnels then work out. But you essentially get people at different stages of the funnel and you want to be there on every stage. If this is a business that has a local intent, and many searches on Google do have this, even if the service is delivered remotely, you might want a coach in your city or in the next bigger city, but the coach might be on the other end of the world, but still be relevant. And if they come up for Business Coach London, and this is a guy from Australia, you might still go with him because he came up for your local intent query and to see, yeah, this service is delivered via Zoom anyway, so I don't care. And the time zone is okay. But you want you see a very strong intent. If they search for the location, this is much stronger than what is business coaching or why should I do business coaching. But you definitely want to have different targeting, different lead magnets, and they're going to get a differentiated level of action, as you correctly point out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's say someone's heard this, they're sold on the idea, they get it, why SEO is a big deal for them. Let's kind of look at how it fits into the entire structure. So one of the things that we teach is the importance of email promotions. Most people in the course space are not doing email promotions. They're not using their email list very much. But if someone starts doing email promotions, how does SEO fit into that? If we work backwards from an email promotion that brings revenue in, how does SEO traffic fit in?
Excellent question. So essentially, if you think about someone purchasing off an email promotion, we really need to think what happened before that, right? So before they purchase, they probably have received a few emails. Before they received a few emails, they opted in for something. This can be on a paid promotion on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever, where they came to a landing page and then downloaded maybe something. But many of these are going to come from your website because they discovered you somehow. They go to your website and find something they want or get in touch with you. They opt in, they end up on your mailing list, right? Say they came in because they found a lead magnet, some PDF they really wanted to download, which was offered on an article, right? This article, they found this article somehow. And if this is, we talk about the SEO side of things, they found this article probably on Google. Why did they find this article? Because Google decided that based on what they typed into the search box, this was the best article, one of the best articles they could find for their particular situation, for the particular problem. And Google does a lot of calculations there in order to understand what the search query is about. They internally alter your search query to make it a correct fit for where you are, for when you search this, etc. And they think this article is perfect, right? You probably saw 10 different search results, up to 10 different search results, where you then made a decision to click on one particular search result. Why was this decision made? Because the title and what we call the meta description that was showing there, the search snippet, was compelling for you versus others that weren't on this page. Very often we focus on the top ones first. Very often people these days skip the ads part on top. It's a good add-on, but very often people automatically skip the ads part that are highlighted. and focus on the organic part, which is essentially coming from the SEO optimization. So they made a decision to click on it. Why did Google think about the article again? Why did Google think that this is a good fit? Because Google wants to make the Google user happy. And the happy Google user is going to find as quickly as possible the response to their answer to their question. So if I type in the height of the Eiffel Tower, Google isn't going to even send me to a page. They're going to tell me in the search results the height of the Eiffel Tower, because they figured out that this is making Google users happy. They don't want all the other information. They just want to know the height in meters, ideally, right? So Google is going to match this with what we call the search intent. There is an intention behind the search query. I type something in, and Google has a very good idea what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for online courses on surf skating, Google is probably going to give me pages that compare different online courses on surf skating, because they know I'm not looking for a particular course, not for one. I'm looking for different courses. I'm probably looking for a comparison. So a comparison article is going to have the highest possibility to rank. However, if I'm searching for data-driven course promotion, for example, your agency might come in and Google might decide to rank your homepage, even if you have a specific article on how to do this. They think that I'm searching for an agency, so they rank your homepage. So Google does a lot of math there, a lot of number crunching and calculations with the artificial intelligence to figure out what is the best match. So working backwards and going back to your question from the email marketing list, it takes an article that responds to something my audience is looking for. It takes a lead magnet that they are really compelled by. And the lead magnet needs to provide enough value to stay on your email list to receive a few emails. I'm not going to sign up and you send me a promotion and I buy. This doesn't happen too often, right? Very often I'm going to stick around, see if you provide value. And if you do this consistently, and I'm really looking forward to those emails that you send around, I might be ready to purchase when you have an interesting promotion for me. But this means the article needs to be written with an intent. And this is where online courses very often, I believe, get it wrong or don't leverage the potential enough, because they write what they think is interesting. They know so much about this topic that they write what they think is interesting. I could talk for hours about SEO, no problem at all, right? Only a fraction of this is going to be interesting for someone in a particular situation who sees their competitor ranking above them. But if I have an article that says, how can you outrank your competitor? I'm addressing an issue. Someone might type into Google, and we can do a lot of keyword research, as we call it there, to see what kind of queries do people type into Google. But if I have an article, how to outrank your competitor, and someone types in, how can I rank ahead of my competitor? This is a very good match. And if I then have a lead magnet that tells them, look, these are the 3 steps you can implement today. If you download this in order to increase the chances of Google pushing your site ahead of the other guys, then you have an opt-in and a quick win for these people to stick to your mailing list.
So what I'm hearing here is there's an enormous number of little steps that people have to go through, and that you have to line up your whole strategy, your tactics, everything that you're doing with that. So it's not about necessarily just appearing higher in Google for a bunch of terms and getting more traffic. It's about figuring out, okay, which are the terms that when people are searching for, they are likely to buy. Okay, so what kind of content would we need to put together for that? What kind of keywords are they searching for? What kind of keywords do we therefore need to have in the article? What does the description of the article have to be so it matches with what those kinds of people are searching for? What lead magnet, once they get to the page, are they likely to want to sign up for? What would be immediate value for those guys, so they're likely to stay on the list? Like lining all of these different bits up together, and then finding another different section, like you're saying about the different levels of intent, and saying, okay, what about the people who are, there's a broader term, there's more people searching for just surf skating than, surf skating course or best surf skating course. What are those guys searching for? What kind of lead magnet's going to get them onto the list? What kind of description is going to be compelling to them? Lining all of each of those parts up together. So there's quite a lot of strategy to this in terms of like getting all of the details to fit together. Have I understood that right?
Yeah, but I think this happens in every single channel. If you want to run Facebook ads, you depend on the title, the description, the copy, the visual, things like those, the targeting, etc. You always have a lot of different aspects that need to work very well together in order to drive the potential results. I think from what we see in SEO, and this is where we came up with this framework we call Erica, and this is where I published a book about it because it works really, really well. here at SEO Leverage, we have seen that this needs some guidance. We see a lot of people kind of dabble in SEO, like I dabble in surf skating right now, with very similar success. But this means that they spend a lot of time and resources, because SEO is a long-term thing. It's not something you start today and you finish tomorrow and it's going to work. It needs consistent effort, consistent dedication, like a personal training at the gym, right? You can't do this for a month and then you're fit and then you're off. It doesn't work that way. It takes a while and you have to maintain it. And SEO works the same way. So we see that many people know they need to dedicate time to this, but they do this on the wrong end. So they might be taking 2 days instead of 1 to write an article. But maybe if they have the wrong lead magnet, the opt-ins are not going to happen, right? They might have the best article and Google ranks them #1, but if the meta description, the search snippet doesn't convince, they're not going to get the clicks, because the click-through rate is going to be very, very low from search. So they show up a lot, but if nobody clicks, you don't have anybody on your website, right? Or they might have the lead magnet right, but the article doesn't really prepare the reader to actually want this lead magnet, because they don't raise the issue of the potential that this lead magnet actually leverages for you. And this is where we see our role. And with this, what we do essentially is every couple of weeks we go in and say, look, what is the situation? Where are your competitors? Where are they winning? Where are they losing? Where can you win where they are losing right now? What have they figured out what we can leverage for you? And we say, look, these are the 3-4 things we want you to focus on. If you have more capacity, do more stuff. But these are the things that we think have the highest impact for the next couple of weeks. And then we revise everything again. And then in our dashboard, we see where do people come in, how do they convert, etc. And this makes it then, this creates this momentum. This is actually why people stick with us for years, I think, because we just poke them with a stick every couple of weeks and say, look, it's literally what we do, nicely. Right? Nobody wants to do SEO. Nobody wants to dedicate resources to it. Nobody wants to have a VA who helps them with the content or reach out every month or two to their tech person to optimize something or make the site faster, do this, do that. Nobody wants this, right? And I can really relate, because I hate fitness. I hate the gym. I know I need to do it. And if I didn't have someone pushing me all the time, I wouldn't do it, right? And my clients really, I think they're with me because I do this every couple of weeks and say, look, this article is going down in traffic. Let's do something with it, because this is from last year and we need to refresh it and rewrite it and give this a little bit of a fresh air, because Google changes. Google wants to make users happy, but users are not static. They change in behavior. They use different devices. They search at different locations. They use different terms to search. They suddenly start using voice search. Things change in the marketplace. And you can't have this article, even if the topic and the answer is exactly the same today, you need to freshen it up. And this is we do everything data driven, like you have in your name, which is, I think, why we have a very good conversations. We base everything on data. And if our app, for example, has evaluations that tells us, look, this article has been going down 3 months in a row, let's do something about it. We have evaluations that say this article comes up a lot, but gets a very low click-through rate. Let's do something about this, right? These are things that are really hard to do with a few tools you might have at hand, if you pay for them already, which many people don't do, but it's really hard to figure out the priorities then.
Got it. Okay. So I'm a little torn now. I want to ask you about keyword research, but I'm very curious about this Erica framework. Would you give us at least the outline of what the Erica framework is? I can see it in your background. This book sat behind you over your shoulder.
This book, everybody can get this for free on our website, by the way, as a PDF download. What this essentially is this Erica framework came up because I learned from a mentor of mine, Tim Stremko, that acronyms and frameworks are really, really good, because it helps us focus and think in a certain way about a certain subject, right? And I was analyzing, I've been doing SEO for 20 years, more and more every year, right? So I figured out, or I analyzed essentially, what am I actually doing on a website, right? If I want to optimize it. And I figured out that I usually start with the evolution. This is the E in Erica, right? I start with the evolution of my client side, but also their competitor sites. So I know, where are they? Have they been going down for a few years? Are they on an upwards trend? Is there a competitor suddenly dropping? Is there a competitor suddenly getting more and more visibility? What's the evolution? Where do we come from until the day today? Also compared to what is happening. We just went through multiple Google updates of their algorithm in 2021. And you need to evaluate the evolution of a website and a competitor based on what has happened in Google updates as well. So it's very important to be up to date on that end, right? But we always start there. Where are we essentially, and how can we come to where we are, right? The next step is research. SEO is 90% research. Research on which keywords do we come up, which search terms do we come up, and where do we come up on page 5, and why don't we come up on page 1? Who is coming up on page 1, and what's separating us from them? What can we do better that they apparently are nailing, and where is the gap that we between them and us that we want to bridge, and how can we do this? How's the user experience on different devices? How is the speed, the site speed, the technical situation? There's a lot of research going on. And every couple of weeks, we do a lot of research on a website. We research and also on competitors. We take a deep dive and might crawl the site of an entire competitor and see how does Google see this competitor. When they crawl this with their machine, they scan the entire site and every article. What do they probably think about this website? How are different articles connected, etc.? So a lot of research goes in, and with this framework, we do this every couple of weeks, a few people on the team for every website. And this just makes sure that we take care about every single part. R is for research. I in Erica is for interlinking, I call this. It's a little bit awkward because it's internal and external linking. I didn't come up with a better explanation, right? External linking is important because this essentially shows us the endorsements from other websites. A good website, a good, strong brand, naturally, usually gets links from other sites in their industry. This might be because you were on a trade show, you were the speaker on stage, you have a good relation with the provider, with partner aid blogs or partner courses or whatever it is. There's usually some links happening. If those links are relevant for the topic you want to rank for, you have a higher chance in ranking. And those links are going to be the ones that are going to define whether Google trusts your content in a certain industry or they ignore your content in a certain industry. If I was talking about marketing funnels like the ones you do tomorrow on SEO Leverage, Google wouldn't trust me too much. With SEO, we kind of related to the digital marketing space, so they probably think we know a little bit about it, but we have no topical relevance. We don't talk about this topic usually, right? So this is why your site in this area is going to rank much better than mine. If I talk tomorrow about SEO for course creators, it makes a lot of sense because Google says, look, this guy has been in SEO for 20 years and we have forum posts from 15 years ago where he talks about SEO. This makes sense. This fits together. Obviously, they have the authority and the knowledge. So let's rank them because this just makes sense. And then just base this on user signals and the content where this ranking comes actually up. Okay. So external links are important, but also internal links are important. Most online courses, coaches, creators are going to just hit new post, upload their content and hit publish, and then share this on social media. This is the usual methodology we see everybody use. What's the problem with it? Two problems. First of all, for Google is a machine, and the machine learning algorithm needs context. If there is no context, the machine learning algorithm might understand only a fraction of what you actually published. We see 10%, 15%, things like those. Crazy. Mm-hmm. We kind of expect Google to be able to understand the text and understand that this is the best topic and the best description I have just put together. So I need to rank number 1 tomorrow, which is the expectation. The frustration comes when we don't even rank on page 10 on Google after a month. And this is where we say, okay, now SEO might not be my thing and let's find something else. But the reason is just because we didn't approach the process in the right way. And we didn't give Google the context and say, look, this is a piece about SEO for courses. This has a connection with SEO for coaches because they have a lot of similarities, right? So let's link these two together in a natural way, because there might be one paragraph about a coaches page that talks about coaches that have a course. And this links then to this SEO for courses page. So we give Google context between two somehow related articles. And suddenly this one new article is going to rank for a bunch of other keywords as well, because Google has more context and better understands where this fits in. And if we do this consistently, we create what we call content silos or content clusters, which usually consist in one pillar page, introducing the topic. What is a marketing funnel, right? And then this is going to link to the email marketing article you have. This is going to link to Facebook ads. This is going to link to YouTube ads. And then you go into this YouTube ads article and this suddenly links back to what is a funnel. So there is a relation between these in two directions. And this is very easy for the machine to figure out that this pillar article and all those other articles, they're related and form what we call a content silo. And this is where Google is really happy to send traffic in, because they know that this user, even if they didn't nail the result with this ranking, the user is going to be finding what they're looking for, because they just follow the internal links from this article that I wasn't specifically interested in marketing funnels and Facebook. I just wanted to know more about email marketing. So I click on this email marketing article, it brings me there. So there's a lot of context necessary for the internal linking in this framework. And this is why internal linking is being revised every couple of weeks. We want to know which articles do not have any links, and then see, is this really an important article, or can we just drop it? Very often pruning is the first thing we do on a website. We just pruned 1,500 URLs from a website of all the tag pages they were using, and Google wasn't ranking them. And people weren't going to those tag pages on the WordPress site. So we just pruned all of them, because there was no reason to have things around Google doesn't like and users don't like. It's just making things more complex. On the other hand, you might be seeing that an article that's really doing very well, for example, on social media, driving a lot of leads, isn't connected to anything. And if you on your website don't see an article as important enough to link it from different angles of different other pages, Google is not going to think it's important either. So you want to make sure that you tell Google about the importance of certain articles on your site. This doesn't mean that every single article needs 25 links, but there are going to be some articles, especially the ones that do very well in conversions, where you want to make sure that internally you drive a lot of importance, a lot of authority to those articles.
Got it. Okay, so we've got evolution, research, interlinking.
Interlinking.
What's C?
Next ones are quicker. C is for content. We need to create new content we are missing. We need to update content we already have that might be outdated, and outdated doesn't mean that the information we give isn't valid anymore. It just means that there is similar information fresher on the internet, and mine might be too old. So I want to refresh this, redo this. And if I have actually updated the article, I should also put the date forward and say, this is not from 2009, this is from 2021, because I just updated it. Google values that you go back to your article and update it. So on some sites, it's our direction directly at SEO Leverage that we tell them, look, do not create any new content. You have got 1,500 articles. You talk about everything that can be said about this topic, but let's make sure that those articles actually rank. And then we go back and help our clients essentially optimize those articles to make them be in line with what Google actually wants to see, because very often it won't be. We have a specific client I remember we're working with right now. She came in and had been creating blog content over 9 years. This was 800 articles, right? And she was like, yeah, she wants her to improve her SEO. And I asked her to go through 900 different articles, 8 years this was. And just make a note of what she thinks, what kind of search she thought this could respond to, right? And this took her a month or two. And we worked on other things in the meantime, but this was a really important task, because then she came back and said, look, you can throw everything away. And this is really unfortunate, right? This is a lot of work over 8 years where she was sharing thoughts, and people who liked her were reading it on social media, and that's fine. But for SEO purposes, this has zero value. And this was a little bit of a shock moment. And I think it took her a while to really accept it. But if we don't create something with the intention to rank, it's just not going to happen. Just because we think something is great, and I think something I talk about SEO might be the best information someone can get, this doesn't mean they're searching for it. And did I think that one of my experiences is important for someone else, and a blog about this on how this person lost 8 years of work isn't going to help anybody. What's going to help anybody is if I create an article that says how to make sure that your SEO works, how to make sure that your SEO drives traffic to your funnel, right? And these are the things that actually respond to something. This doesn't mean you can't share a thought, you can't share information, but the intent, if you want it to rank and you expect Google to send you traffic, you need to respond to something. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Google is not going to rank you if you just share your experience. Okay, so content is really important. We compare consistently what kind of content do competitors have, what have they just created, can we create the same? Is there a subtopic that we haven't talked about yet? We have a client we have been for a while, and we still discover new subtopics they are missing. Google really wants you to cover the entire topic in as much detail as possible in different articles, not in the same article, but in different articles. And if you're missing out of a topic, you might not get any of this traffic. And we see then in the competitive research that someone already does get traffic around this topic. So let's build this up and create this kind of content. So between optimizing what you already have and creating new content, this is the C of Erica. And the A is very, very quickly, these are the action steps. So whenever we go through this framework.
I made a bet with myself. I said, I bet A is for action.
Perfect. You won. We call it action steps. So every single step might end up with tasks that are summarized in the action steps. And this means, what are we going to do apart from whatever else we can do because we have more capacity? But what are the 5 tasks, 4 tasks, 3 tasks we really want to focus on in the next couple of weeks? Because we have estimated that those are going to be the highest impact items you can work on. Okay, so if you compare this with a gym, I could eat a carrot every day and it would be probably good. But if I took out sugar of my diet, I would probably get faster results. So it's going to be personal trainer is going to say, yeah, eat your carrot, but most importantly, take out sugar from your diet because you're going to lose weight faster. And this is what we do with SEO as well. We say, okay, you do your thing with the content you build up, etc. If you want to move forward with your SEO, now focus on refreshing these 3 articles because they're losing traffic and they're driving the most conversions to your site right now. And you're going to lose conversions in a couple of months if you don't do this. We're going to tell you, look, unless you fix the speed problem you have on your website, where it takes 5 extra seconds on every page to load versus maybe 1 or 2 seconds on competitors' pages, you're going to have an ongoing user experience issue. So fewer conversions, lower conversion rates, less traffic, lower rankings, etc. So let's get this under control before we do anything else. I'm auditing right now a Shopify site where I said, look, before you don't get a certain technical issue under control where there are 3,000 URLs instead of 1,000 URLs on your site because the system doesn't work, no need to focus on anything else. But then the next thing is already adding content to those collection pages, to those categories in order to make them more valuable. Right? So we really try to figure it out. What is it at any given stage, the thing that actually has the highest chance to move the needle? And if you do this consistently, the results are amazing. We have clients with online courses getting 5,000 opt-ins every single month for free, just because they have the lead magnet that fits with the article that was written with an intention, that ranks with the text people want to click on, and the results are amazing. But it takes it consistently, and I think without guidance, it's really, really hard.
Okay. So we had evolution, research, interlinking, content, and action. Now, one of the things that I want to get into is about getting more of those opt-ins from the traffic that comes to the site. We do analyses of many, many course creator websites, and we find that nearly all of them, like 95% of them, are between about a 0.5 and a 1% opt-in rate. That's like virtually everybody's in that range. And if you're listening and you're thinking, well, I don't know what I am, take the number of email subscribers, new email subscribers you get from your website every month, divide it by the total website traffic you get and times by 100. And that's going to give you that number, that percentage. So you're almost definitely between 0.5 and 1% if you haven't done specific work around this. And most people can get to about 5%, somewhere between 3 and 9% is the opt-in rates that we have seen across different sites. So it means that you can somewhere between like 2 and 10 times the number of new email subscribers you get, even before you've driven more traffic. And then when you drive more traffic, you get way, way more email subscribers, and it's absolutely huge. So Gert, I want to talk about like, what do you think makes a good lead magnet? Because you're doing work with this, with course creators around lead magnets, getting more people onto their email list. What's some things that people should look for in a good lead magnet?
Absolutely. So this is, I think, one of the things we have really evolved quite a bit in the last years. And we focus more and more on this because ultimately you couldn't care less about getting a lot of traffic if the conversions don't happen. So what we found is if someone, and I agree with you with the figures as well, 0.5, 1%, maybe 1.25, we see once in a while in the audit, if they have the tracking in place, which is really the first step is to have this Google Analytics conversion tracking, which would be the easiest, but your formula is great. I need to note this down from my clients as well. If you have the tracking in place and you're getting somewhere like this, what we see on the courses we work with initially is that they have one lead magnet. So they say, look, I have this great ebook. I spend a week on this or two or even more. And this is really good information. This summarizes everything I stand for, everything I want people to know, everything I know they're going to appreciate. And this is on all my articles on my site or on the homepage. This is what they can get, right? This is a free sample, a free ebook, a free checklist, or whatever it is, but it's usually one, right? And I insist a lot on this because what does this, when we think about working backwards from the actual sale, what does this mean? This means that I expect that people coming in through a whole bunch of articles, possibly 100 different articles, or hundreds or even thousands. We have a client right now, I was talking yesterday, they have got 1,500 articles on their site, right? It is impossible that this ebook is going to be the best possible next step for everybody coming in through 1,500 different articles. It's impossible. Doesn't mean it wouldn't be valuable, but it's definitely not the best next step they can take. So what we work with clients and where we have seen amazing results, and we're talking 50, 55% opt-in rates, is that we're not going to do this for every single article, but I ask them, or we essentially provide the report for them and say, look, these are the 20 articles on your blog that get the most traffic. Okay. I want you to create 20 different lead magnets. Start with 5, right? Start with 5 different lead magnets. Every single article is going to get a particular specific lead magnet. And we're going to read the article and we're going to suggest what is the logical next step they're going to take based on this article, or maybe we are even tweaking the article a little bit to set them up that the lead magnet is exactly what they want now. Imagine an article about subject lines in email marketing. Everybody who's doing email marketing knows that depending on the subject line, people might open up or delete or mark as spam your email that's coming in, right? Imagine you have an article about email marketing and you give them a lead magnet about online marketing funnels. Very valuable lead magnet, but they came because they have an issue with email marketing. They might have the entire funnel set up, but they want to increase their open rates. Imagine you have this email marketing article and you talk in a huge paragraph or multiple times in this article about how important subject lines is. And you have a lead magnet that says, these are the subject lines in 20 years of digital marketing agency that have gotten the highest open rates. This is a list of the top 50 subject lines we have seen getting the best results. Swipe file, download it and use them today. This is a very different relation between this lead magnet and a general funnel ebook. Because I came to your page with an intention. I didn't want to know everything you know about funnels. I wanted to solve my problem. And very often the 0.5 or 1% people are offering their solution, but they ignore my problem. If you match your solution to what I'm right now going through, I'm going to wait for this second email to come. Because suddenly from 5% or 10% open rate, I'm at 30% because I use the subject lines from your swipe file. Suddenly, because you told me how to open up, how to write the preview text in the email that's shown before you open it up on Google. I never wrote this, but now you told me this quick tip on your article, on your lead magnet, and now I'm going to do this, right? I got a quick win. I have built a trusted relationship. You're going to get insanely high opt-in rates, because it's just exactly what people want. They just want to have a solution and say, look, the only thing it costs you is your email address, and I'm going to solve this problem for you for free, right? There is such a low barrier that opt-in rates are going to be high. I talked with an international company, 9 figures probably. We are working just on a very small campaign with a very small department for them. I talked about them with making sure that what you ask for is much less than what you actually give, right? An ebook can have taken you months to write. For clients, this is not the value you put into it. If I have just one single doubt or problem I need to solve. So I'm not going to give you my email address for a general ebook. I'm going to give you my email address because you suddenly solve exactly the problem I'm having right now. And if I'm in a bigger company, this is because I can tell my boss that I've solved this problem and I've got 30% plus in results, and I'm going to be the best person of the month or employee of the month for this. If this is my online course, I'm suddenly going to make a lot more money just because I have better subject lines. but I have an immediate response. I have an immediate value to a particular issue someone is dealing with. And now do this for one article, great. Do this for 5 articles, amazing. Do this for the top 20 articles and just track the results. And very often you can even find a way to frame pretty much the same lead magnet from different angles. If this is your funnel ebook, take out every single section and match it to an article and offer it as a specific lead magnet, right? But it's a completely different frame. I'm not going to read an entire book to see if this solves my problem. But if you tell me, look, this is the one PDF that's going to solve your problem, this is 2 pages of ideas for subject lines, then I'm going to do this.
So I'm going to challenge you a little bit on this. I agree with everything that you've said, and I think that's incredible, and it gets great results, and there's no question. So having a great lead magnet that's quick, gets quick results, totally. Having different lead magnets on your top pages, absolutely fantastic. I think that there's an easier win for nearly everybody to do before they do that. And I want to just put this out there and see, is it something that you do? Mm-hmm. And it's something that we do all the time, and it always works, and it's pretty easy to do, mm-hmm. which is that most people just don't have their lead magnet promoted in enough places on their website. So within an article, what we're seeing is they'll have the lead magnet maybe on the homepage, maybe they'll have a pop-up, maybe there's a welcome mat or an exit intent pop-up. Probably not for most people. So it'll be mentioned somewhere on the homepage, and it might be mentioned like in the footer of every one of these articles. But what we do first is take the existing lead magnet that somebody has and just put it inside every single article. We call it inline opt-in forms. Mm-hmm. So what we're talking about, if you've got a 2,000 word article, is top, middle, and bottom, there's going to be a button or an advert or a form so someone can actually opt into the lead magnet. And I would say that is quicker and easier and more and always works, versus I think some of the stuff you're talking about I would put as like steps kind of 2, 3, and 4 after you've already done that. What would you say to that? Do you do anything similar? What have you seen?
I think it's absolutely true. We do this in the course of the conversion optimization. We make sure that we make it really easy for people to opt in. So I agree with you. Mostly we see people having their opt-in, if they have it on an article, they have it down below, and we just need to be realistic. Hardly anybody is going to scroll that far, right? So what we usually do is, in the simplest form, is that we add a button after every 2 or 3 paragraphs that jumps them to the form if they're ready to take action. And this might be after the 2nd paragraph. If they're not ready, they're going to skip this button, read further. This might be after the 4th paragraph, or it might be down below. We are essentially the same like you, top, middle, bottom, exactly the same. We make sure that there is a call to action on top before they actually start scrolling, or above the fold, as we say, that they can easily convert. If I come to this article and this is a subject line swipe file, this is so compelling from a particular issue. And this goes a little bit together with what I said before, right?
Yeah.
If it needs to be in the right place, we can't make it hard for people to find a lead magnet. Absolutely true. We do have some examples where the wrong lead magnet doesn't work even if you place it right, because they are not ready for this, right? We have clients who want you sign up, for example, for a free consult. You might not be ready for this. So even if you push it on top, middle, bottom, if the lead magnet or the opt-in is that you are happy to spend an hour or 2 on a call with them, which is a very high value you're giving, they might not be ready for this. If this is the ebook, I might not have time to read the entire ebook, even if it's well placed, right? And the problem is, even if you have an opt-in, if they don't read the ebook, they're not getting the value. And this is another issue we see, that the lead magnet can be generous, but it needs to be something really quick and tangible. It can't be something that takes time, right? Because people are not going to do it. And if they don't do what you offer, they are not going to get the value out of it. And there are some tricks around it. You can then have an email sequence where you say, look, remember this lead magnet you downloaded. This in the 1st chapter, we talk about this and this. And in the 2nd chapter, we tell you tomorrow on an email that this is about that and that. If they don't get the value, they might not even open up the email. Or you get the typical people unsubscribe after the 2nd email because they say, no, they're going to start their sequence. I'm off. Right. So the more we bring this in line with what they actually came for, the more value and trust they're going to have, and the more likely they are going to be to open up the next follow-up emails until this promotion comes and seems justified, and they're actually taking it out. And absolutely with you, we need to make it very easy. I tell my team always, we need to make sure that there's always a call to action near, right? Like I'm not sure how this is in London. In Madrid, I'm laughing very often because there's always a drugstore somewhere there, a pharmacy store, right? Wherever you look, wherever you are in the city in Spain, there's always a pharmacy store somewhere. And this was crazy. I'm from Austria, and in Austria, this is regulated, and there can only be one per town or two per town, depending on the size. Or it was essentially when I was still in Austria, but here in Spain now, you always have a pharmacy store next to it, right? So wherever you look, there's going to be one. And in calls to action on websites, you want to have the call to action always closed. Some solutions are a partner company of ours who takes over the technical part of our websites. TuneWP is doing. They make this sticky. So you're on a website and you scroll down. There's always at the bottom they do this, or on the header they have a sticky call to action. So wherever you are on the page, you always have this call to action ready and make it easy. And I agree with you. You can very quickly, definitely increase opt-in rates by placing it and making it really, really obvious. If you then can, in the step 2, invest some work in making sure you nail the opt-in for the main traffic sites, it's going to skyrocket.
On the pharmacy note, just as a funny aside, I was out in Mexico for a couple of months, and not only is there a pharmacy just every block all over the place, but if you go into the pharmacy and let's say you want to buy a pack of tissues, they will offer you an upsell of anabolic steroids and Valium. It's like, what on earth makes you think that's what I want? Every single pharmacy, every single time, they must be like, judged on it and marked on it as employees, because it's at every single place. It's like, no, I don't want any of that. Leave me alone.
Crazy. That's so funny.
All right, cool. So this has been amazing, Gert. I think we've learned a lot today about SEO traffic. I think people, even like a lot of our audience who've got 10, 20, 30,000 visitors a month and have done a load of stuff around SEO for a long time, are going to have learned a lot today around something that they could improve. If someone's heard this and they're like, you know what, I could really do with Gert's help on this. I've already got enough revenue. You said you're mostly working with people from kind of 6 up to 8 figures. If someone's in that,
mostly starting 6 figures, 6, 7 figures is probably the most what we work with here.
And if someone's in that range and they're like, I could do with some help with this, I need someone to look at this for me. What kind of services do you guys provide? I think you've got like an audit as the starting point. Is that right?
Exactly. So the first step is usually an audit, because we need to definitely know what we're dealing with. And this is where we audit the entire site, research how your audience searches, research the competitors, etc. Just really make a complete 360-degree check. And from this is a one-off project we do. This ends up in a prioritized list of action steps based on impact and effort. So how much impact can this have? How much effort is it going to be involved to decide if this can be tackled and what should be done first. And then quite a few clients are going to come with the Erica program, where we walk them through this framework every couple of weeks to get access to our application, see how their site is performing from an SEO perspective. Lots of intelligence is being put into the application, so we get more and more reports on which kind of keywords do better, which kind of keywords URLs are on a downwards trend, etc. Things you can't really see specifically for different articles on Google Analytics this way. And then this is also where we line up all the action steps from the A from Erica. We have the communication going through this. And this is then what's working really well, where we also, if someone got the audit before, we essentially reduce the amount of work into bite-sized chunks and say, look, from the audit, this is one item I want you to implement today. And then there are people who want this as a done for you, which is the same framework, but we are essentially then going to do the implementation for them.
Got it. All right. So it's audit, a kind of a done with you, like a teaching you what you need to do, and then a done for you. And the audit's like a crazily good price, right? How much is that now?
We have it right now at about $2,500 one-off.
2,500. Got it. All right. And if people want to learn about that and they want to check that out, what was the website should they go to look it up?
The best would be seoleverage.com. And there they can check out our services, check out the results, get the book for free. And yeah, just reach out to me, book in a call with me, and we have a chat, check out your website and just see what could be the possible steps, what's the potential, what's working for competitors, to get a quick idea whether this makes sense to build up. And then you suddenly have an additional traffic channel that's generating leads.
Nice. All right. Thanks so much, Gert. I really appreciate your time today. I think it's going to have helped a lot of people out. If you're listening and you found this interview useful and you want to get future episodes, then please subscribe wherever it was you listened. Thanks again for listening. And thanks, Gert, for teaching everybody so much stuff.
Cheers, John. Thank you.